Hi guys, to be here with a new video, and this video we have some exciting news. We have new hero talents already available to us to see on Wowhead and to play around and see what are going to be the hero talents on the War Within, which is the new expansion for World of Warcraft, which is going to come out probably 1 year from now. So let's discuss it right away, and I'm actually excited about it. So we have the Sun Lion, which is I think unholy and blood, a Chrono Warden, which I don't know, Mountain Thane, which is I think is the warrior with the Fury one, the protection with Fury, or but we'll have to see, and Lightsmith, which I don't know. So let's see. So the Sun Lion tree is for unholy or blood decay. So hero talents are like the third tree that you can actually fill. So you can actually choose between 3 of them or 4 if you are like a druid, but it depends about the specs that you're using, and it will give you a bit of flavor towards your class. What my understanding is, it's not going to be like groundbreaking, but we'll have to see right now. Again, the icons are going to be placeholders right now, so we'll have to see how it's going to be. So for example, Vampiric Strike, your Death Coil and Death Strike, again your unholy decay, so Death Coil and Death Strike are both used, have 10% chance to make your next Hard Strike or Score Strike become Vampiric Strike. Vampiric Strike heals you for 3% of your maximum health. It's going to be quite insane, by the way, from what I'm reading, but Vampiric Strikes heals you for 3% of your maximum health and grants you Essence of the Blood Queen, increasing your haste by 1.5% up to 7.5% for 20 seconds, which is, again, it looks very, very nice. I assume in PvP you will have a modifier on it, which is probably going to be 50%, but whatever, hopefully there is no modifier, and it looks actually very fun and gives you survivability as Unholy Decay, which I can hope Frost Decay also gets something neat about it. But right now it feels like it's going to be very, very impactful actually. So every time you're going to do a Death Coil, you will have like a chance to get a Vampiric Strike instead of a Score Strike, and then you can heal yourself with it and also give you haste, which is going to be a net positive as Unholy Decay. Then you have Newly Turned. So Raise Ally revives players at full health and grants you an absorption shield equal to 20% of your maximum health. That's something for raids or for dungeons. In PvP you cannot really use it, except maybe in PGs. But Vampiric Speed, which is something we're going to be able to use. Death's Advance and Wraith Walk movement speed bonuses are increased by 10%. Activating Death's Advance or Wraith Walk increases 4 nearby allies' movement speed by 20%, which is going to be noticeable. I think it's going to be very fun to play around. Infliction of Sorrow. When Vampiric Strike damage an enemy affected by Blood Plague or Virulent Plague, it consumes the disease, dealing 200% of the remaining damage. That's actually going to be very, very strong. Virulent Plague is actually hitting a lot if you're like thinking about the whole disease, right? So if you're putting a big dot with Virulent Plague, you can actually use it completely 200% of the remaining damage, which is going to be even more damage with your Vampiric Strike. It's going to give you a lot of burst damage, so it's going to be very, very noticeable and very cool to play around, in my opinion. While Gift of the Saline is active, which is which one is it? It's the last one, but anyways, whenever it's active, Vampiric Strike no longer consumes your disease and instead extends the duration of your disease by 3 seconds and deals 20% of the remaining damage to the enemy. Is it a buff or a nerf? If it's the case, I don't know. It could be a buff, to be honest, because it doesn't really consume it. But yeah, I look forward to see a bit more about that. Hard Strike and Score Strike have a 3% per stack of Essence of the Blood Queen, which is 5 stacks pretty much, which is 15%, to refund a rune, and doubles the chance to refund a rune with Vampiric Strike, which is going to be quite nice. Then we have Gift of the Saline, which is while a Vampiric Blood or Dark Transformation is active, you gain Gift of the Saline. Increases the effectiveness of your Essence of the Blood Queen, which is this one. No. Yeah, it's this one. And it's going to be augmented by 100%. So instead of 7.5%, it will be 15% haste, which is quite strong. And replaces your Hard Strike and Score Strike with Vampiric Strike for the whole duration. That's going to be quite nasty. So every time you're going to have a dark transformation, which is, you can make it a 45-second CD, you can actually do some insane self heals with it. So it's going to be quite nice to play around, in my opinion. Then you have blood soaked ground. While you are within your death and decay, your physical damage taken is reduced by 5%. Again, survivability for unholy decay. I think that's going to be a very strong tree for PvP, especially versus physical damage dealers. Frenzied Bloodthirst stacks 2 additional times and increases the damage of your Death Coral and Death Strike by 5%. So it can even stack up to, if my calculations are the best, it will be like 10.5%. So it's going to be quite nice. And your Death Coral and Death Strike has been augmented by 5%, which is quite nice. Inside Terror, Heart Strike and Sword Strike extends the duration of Essence of the Blood Queen by 0.5 seconds, and Vampiric Strike increases the extension by 100%. So it's going to be quite nice again. So you can actually extend it even more. So you can actually have a haste buff all the time, pretty much. A Vampiric Aura. Your leech is increased by 3%, while active it's augmented by 100, also affects 4 nearby allies. That's quite of a fun talent, but I don't think it's going to be that good. But Bloody Fortitude looks very strong, so reduces all damage you take by up to an additional 30% based on your missing health. That's going to be very strong. This is going to be insane in PvP. I guess it's going to get nerfed in PvP, but it looks very strong. The blood is live. Vampiric Strike has a chance to summon a blood beast to attack your enemy for 10 seconds. Each time the blood beast attacks, it stores a portion of the damage dealt, and when the blood beast dies, it explodes, dealing 50% of the damage accumulated to nearby enemies and healing the Death Knight for the same amount. Again, some insane self heals. I think it's going to be quite strong to play in Holy Decay. Also Blood Decay, by the way. You have Sanguine Scent here. Your Death Coral and Death Strike have 15% chance to trigger Vampiric Strike when damage enemies below 35% health, and it is in guaranteed critical strike. So that's going to be a lot of damage. Also a lot of interesting aspects with the whole tree in general, so I look forward to play that as well, especially it is guaranteed to critical strike, which is again I assume you can play with Score Strike but also with Clawing Shadows, and Clawing Shadows actually hits like a truck, so imagine if it's actually guaranteed to critical strike. It's going to be quite nice. Hopefully a Vampiric Strike doesn't become physical damage though. I assume it's going to be shadow damage, but again we'll have to see. Pact of the Sun Lane, I don't even know how it's pronounced, but you store 50% of all shadow damage dealt into your blood beast to explode for additional damage when it expires. So that's going to be quite nice to play around. So this is the Sun Lane tree. So we have discussed one tree. I want to discuss every single tree. I'm going to try to do it faster, but this is looking very cool. This is the Coral Warden, which is preservation or augmentation evoker. Should be a support kind of tree, but we'll have to see. Chrono Flame enhanced with bronze magic. Living Flame, repeating 50% of the damage or healing you deal to the target in the last 5 seconds as arcane, up to a fixed amount. Then you have Warp, now warps due through time and space. Its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. And Hover continues to allow evoker spells to be casted while moving. Interesting. Warp reduces damage taken by 30%. Whoa, that's strong. It's a mini wall pretty much. It leaves a trail of motes acceleration. Allies who come in contact with a mote gain 20% increased movement speed for 30 seconds. That's looking very supporty. Your intellect and stamina are increased by 10%, but your cooldowns are increased by 10%. So that's going to be a kind of risk and reward kind of thing, I guess. Time convergence abilities with a 45 seconds or longer CD grants you 10% intellect for 15 seconds, and defensive abilities grants you 10%. That's actually the one that is going to be very meta, I think. After image, and power spells send up to 3 chrono flames to your target, which is this one. Have a small chance to grant you essence burst, so it will give you a bit of burst damage, I guess. Tip the Scales overloads you with temporal energy, increasing your haste, movement speed, and cooldown recovery rate by 2%, ramping up to 40% over 20 seconds. That's interesting. That's actually very interesting, especially the haste one. Threads of Fate, casting accessibility during temporal burst, which is this one. Causes a nearby ally to gain Threads of Fate for 15 seconds, granting them a chance to echo their damage or healing spells, dealing 15% of the amount of, again, wow, that's actually very strong. Especially since it's a nearby ally, so I assume you can do it on a DPS, and a DPS will do some insane amount of damage. I imagine Assassination Rogue, for example. Here, Master of Destiny, you have Empower spells amplify all your active Threads of Fate. So if you have one, you can even have multiple ones, increasing their power by 100% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. That's insane. Prescience has 25% chance to not incur a cooldown. Echo has 25% chance to not cost essence. Spirit Bloom heals for an additional 30% of over 8 seconds. Upheaval deals 30% additional damage over 8 seconds. That's also quite nice. Primacy. For each damage over time effect from Upheaval or Spirit Bloom, gain 3% haste up to 9%. And instability metrics. Each time you cast an empower spell, unstable time magic reduces its cooldown by up to 15 seconds. So overall, from what I've read for DKs and Evokers, it does feel like it's going to be very impactful, which is going to be a good thing. I think having those hero talents not being impactful would hurt the game, in my opinion, because again, you want to bring something exciting, and this seems exciting to me. It will give you a bit of a playstyle switch, but also it's going to complement very well with your current builds. Now, Mountain, which is Fury or Protection Warrior, that is going to be something I'm going to play around because I'm a warrior main, so I'm going to say if it's going to be very noticeable or not. So, we have here Lightning Strikes, damaging enemies with Thunderclap, Revenge, Raging Blow, or Execute. Yes, finally we have Raging Blow builds. Has a 10% chance to also strike one with a Lightning Bolt, dealing moderate nature damage. Lightning Strikes occur 50% more often during Avatar. That's going to be quite nice. Now, how much damage is moderate nature damage? I assume if you're doing Execute or Raging Blow, which is something you're going to use a lot, it's going to be quite interesting to see if it's going to be good damage or not. Kind of looks like the Thundering Strikes from Enhancement Shamans. Lightning Strikes here, Storm Strike or nature damage. Your abilities deal Storm Strike? What do you mean with Storm Strike? This is Storm Strike, or how it's called. Anyways, let's read. Storm Strike or nature damage, your ability deal is increased by 5%, and Storm Strike damage ignores armor. Thunderclap damage increased by 50%, but Fury got Storm Strike or nature damage the same actually. Thunderclap damage increased by 50%. Whoa, maybe it's going to be interesting to take Thunderclap. We'll have to see. It's still, I think, too low to actually take it, but whatever. Improved Whirlwind and Meatcleaver now improved Thunderclap as well as Whirlwind. Oh, interesting. So you could actually make a Thunderclap build. Interesting. I'll have to see. Hopefully we get to play the alpha so we can actually test all those things and also cover on the channel. Shield Slam or Bloodthirst have a 20% chance to grant you Thunder Blast, stacking up to 2 times. Thunder Blast, 2 charges, excuse me. Thunder Blast, your next Thunderclap becomes a Thunder Blast that deals Storm Strike damage. So Storm Strike, I assume it's nature or physical, like it's a nature and physical ability. So it's like, for example, the Flame Strike, I think, for Enhancement Shaman, it's like physical and also fire damage. This is going to be nature or physical damage. Interesting. So it's going to augment even more damage, I guess, because it's Storm Strike or nature damage. No, it's only or. But Storm Strike damage ignores armor, so automatically it's going to do some okay damage. But Thunderclap is going to be very strong for Protection Wars, for 100%. Here, Victory Rush increases your maximum health by 10% for 5 seconds, or Thunder Blast reduces damage taken by 4%. That's not going to be very noticeable. I think Victory Rush is going to be quite nice. Impending Victory is also going to work on that. It's going to be quite nice. I'm going to leave the last for the the more interesting thing as last. Lightning Strikes also deals low damage to enemies near their target, so it's going to cleave. It's going to break CC, excuse me. Storm Shield. Intervening a target grants them a shield for 5 seconds that absorbs magic damage equal to 3 times your armor. That's going to be insane in PvP. Whoa, I mean, you have finally something that you can use versus casters with Intervene. Interesting. Stormbolt also hits 2 additional nearby targets, stunning them for 2 seconds. That's going to be interesting, but I don't know if you really want to DR everyone, especially since you have AoE stun, so a shockwave, so I don't think you really need that. But again, I think Storm Shield is going to be quite interesting versus casters. Gathering Clouds. Your attacks triggers lightning strikes 15% more often. That's interesting. Or Torrent Smite. Lightning strikes generates 3 rage and also increase damage for Raging Blow and Execute by 15%. That's going to be also quite nice. You have a choices to make, I would say. Here, Strength of the Mountain. Shield Slam damage increased by 20%, or Bloodthirst and Rampage damage increased by 10%. Also quite nice. Flashing Skies, we have chances for lightning strikes to critically hit is increased by 5%, and their critical strike damage is increased by 10%. Or lightning strikes reduces the cooldown of Ravager by 0.5%. So a second. So probably Flashing Skies for me if I have to choose. Burst of Power. Lightning strikes have a 20% chance to make your next 2 shield slams or bloodthirst have no cooldown. So that's interesting for Fury as well, but it's not going to be that impactful, but I think it's going to be impactful anyways, especially since if you're going to use your enraged regen, you can then regen a lot of health with those bloodthirsts if you have like a lot of chances with the RNG. Avatar of the Storm, that's the interesting part. Casting Avatar grants you 2 charges of Thunder Blast and resets the cooldown of Thunder Clap, so you can actually chain those Thunder Claps. While Avatar is not active, Lightning Strikes have a 10% chance to grant you Avatar for 4 seconds. That's going to be insane. It's like a recklessness for Fury, but now you also get Avatar with all those Lightning Strikes, which is basically Raging Blow and Execute. Interesting. Thunder Blast, your next Thunderclap becomes a Thunder Blast that deals Storm Strike damage. Interesting. Interesting. This is going to be quite fun to play. So overall, it does change your gameplay into you have to take Thunderclap pretty much. If you really want to have full value on the build, you could still have value on it, even though you're not playing with Thunderclap. But I'd assume the Thunderclap is going to be, like the Thunder Blast is going to be worthwhile. So hopefully we get to see and get to play around. And it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be thematically also viable for PvP in the future. Here we have Lightsmith, unfortunately Holy or Protection Paladin, but let's read it anyways. Holy Armaments, well, that's a lot of text. The 2 coalies become manifest at target location as a holy armament, which may be wielded by you or your allies. Alternates between Holy Bulwark and Sacred Weapons. Last 20 seconds after being cast, max 2 charges. Holy Bulwark, while wielding a Holy Bulwark, gaining an Absorb Shield for 15% of your maximum health, and an additional 5% every 2 seconds, stacking up to 30 seconds percent. Sacred Weapon, while wielding a Sacred Weapon, your spells and ability have a chance to deal additional holy damage or healing. I wonder if Holy Paladin can actually just slap. I'll have to see. Rite of Sanctification. Imbue your weapon with the power of the light, increasing your armor. Or imbue your weapon with the power of light, increasing your stamina. Looks like a buff. Laying down arms, the cooldown of lay on hands is reduced by 15 seconds. You gain shining light or infusion of light. Shared resolve, the effect of your active aura is increased by 33% on targets with your armaments. Solidarity, if an ally picks up an armament, you will also gain its benefit. If you pick an armament, a nearby ally also gains its benefits. Interesting. Your spells and abilities have a chance to manifest a holy armament nearby, or the cooldown of holy armament is reduced by 20 seconds. It's going to be very strong actually. It depends on how it's going to be tuned. Consuming infusion of light extends the duration of any active armaments by 3 seconds, or reduce the cooldown by 3 seconds if none exists. So it's going to be a CD based ability, I think. Interesting. For each holy power ability cast, your next consecration does additional holy damage or healing split across all enemies. Blessed Assurance, casting a holy power spell increases the damage and healing of your next Crusader strike by 100%. Okay. Holy Paladin is going to slap. While wielding an armament, the duration of fear effects is reduced by 50%. Very strong. This is going to be for PvP very strong, I think, for Holy Paladins. This is something you can play if you're playing versus Warlocks, for example. Hammer and Anvil. Judgment critical strikes causes a shockwave around the target, dealing additional holy damage or healing at the target's location. That depends about how much damage it will be. It looks interesting to play around though. Avenging Wrath summons an additional sacred weapons, and during Avenging Wrath, your sacred weapons cast spells on your target and echoes the effect of your holy power abilities. Okay. I think from the looks of it, again, it may be not meaningful right now, but it looks that it is going to be impactful enough to make it that you need to play around those hero talents. Now, it is made with in mind that you're going to have all these talents unlocked, and you only have like those choice nodes that you can choose on depending on situations. But overall, I think the choices are either, look, you want to play Lightsmith or you want to play something else, right? That is going to be the choice for you. I think these are quite set in stone depending on your activity, but I think it's going to give you a bit more flavor for your spec. Now, is it going to be like game breaking? I don't think so, but I think it's going to be quite fresh, and hopefully we get some good playstyles. Again, for the Fury Warriors, Thunderclap being relevant could be something interesting to play around and to have fun with. Now, is it going to be game breaking? I don't know. I feel like the Avatar of the Storm, like being able to proc Avatar, is actually very strong. I wonder if you proc Avatar, you also proc Odin's Fury as a Fury Warrior. If it does, then it's going to be insane amount of damage throughput, but we'll have to see and look how it will be played out. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. It does look fun to play, so hopefully we do get the alpha so we can actually show you guys all the new stuff around hero talents.